Hey there, I'm JP from JoyHog. Welcome to the podcast, and we are here today going to do the podcast from my kitchen, which in New York, and if you're familiar with New York real estate at all, this is what they call a galley kitchen. It's basically a hallway. But we're going to prepare some things for the Oscars, because a lot of you are going to be having like Oscar viewing parties, and so am I, and it's that whole kind of thing. Your friends, if you're hosting the party, your friends should be bringing the drinks over. And if they don't bring the drinks over, then they're bad people and you should be bringing. The first thing that I want to do is I want to make a recipe by Michael Chiarillo from his book At Home with Michael Chiarillo, which are potato and sage fritters, which means we need to break out the deep fryer. And I'm not going to lie to you, I don't exactly know what I'm doing. I haven't really done these recipes before. I'm just going to test them out and see what happens. So we're going to do that. We're also going to do some toasted pitas. Just toasting some little, pita triangles with a little like lemon and butter and rosemary and some sea salt, and see how that goes, and we can dip them in the hummus or whatever you get around. We'll get started first with the fritters. Now there's this spongy part involved, so it says for the sponge, you're supposed to be mixing together the warm water. It's a 1/4 cup of warm water, and then it is 2 tablespoons of all-purpose flour and 1 1/8 teaspoons of active dry yeast. And we're supposed to just mix this together. And we're just going to set this aside for a little bit. And that's as good a place as I need to put it. There's not a lot of space in the
sponge.
That's about a pound of potato. We're going to get our saucepan here. We're gonna put the potatoes in the water. We're gonna first we're gonna peel them and cut them to 1-inch cubes. And we're gonna put them in water, cover them up, and let them do their thing until we can mush them down. So the potatoes have boiled, and there goes my phone. So we're going to just strain these potatoes. Mash these. Once everything's put together, we have to let it sit for 1.5 hours to 2 hours so that the dough, the fritter batter really, is going to double in size. So, our potatoes have cooled. We mashed them up and they've cooled. So what we're going to do, and this says use a large bowl, which makes me nervous because I always pick a bowl that's too small. So I have a huge pot here. It's actually not on the heat. It's just, I don't have counter space. I'm going to combine the potatoes in here with what he's calling the sponge.
The sponge.
Remember, it's like the yeast and just a little bit of flour. And so we're just going to add that in there as well. And then we are going to add 2 cups of flour. There's 1. And there's 2. And also he wants us to add in here a tablespoon of finely chopped fresh sage, which I just chopped up. And about a tablespoon, right? Sure. 2 teaspoons of freshly grated lemon zest. Now he wants a 1/2 teaspoon of pepper and 2 teaspoons of salt. So start combining all of this together until it becomes, as you can see, a bit of a sticky dough. And next, he wants us to add to that 2 eggs and a 1/2 cup extra virgin olive oil. Now we're just gonna mix the wet business in here. Stir to combine all of this. And this is going to be the dough that we're going to fry up to make our little fritters. Throw it into a little bowl or something like that. Let it sit for 1.5 hours to 2 hours, and it will double in size. It's like Play-Doh. I love it. This is the dough. See, I'm sure it's nice and sticky, which means you know that it's going to be good when you throw it in the deep fryer. Okay, so the next thing that I'm going to put together is sort of something that I fiddled around with, and also something that Giada De Laurentiis did once on her show. And it's just really just taking some pita wedges and toasting them up. Maybe like 3 tablespoons of butter here, like so. Melt that up. I'm gonna throw some fresh lemon juice in here. I want to burn the butter though, that's the thing you want to be careful of. It's just to get the flavor of the rosemary. It's going to be a little bit intense if you're in whole little chunks of rosemary here. Chopped up rosemary bits in there. Cut this into triangles. Take a little brush. Coat these nicely. And then we're going to throw these into a pretty hot oven because we don't want any sog factor going on. About like 375. And literally, it's not rocket science. I don't know how long they're supposed to go for. You just look when they're toasty. That's when you take them out. Here, they are nice and toasted up, but on the golden brown side. So, you know, that's just nice to have, and people can eat them on their own, or they can dip them in something. I don't get it. Alright, so this is the first time that I've used this deep fryer. We're going to see how it goes. The big lesson of the deep fryer is that you have to pour the oil in before you plug it in, otherwise something terrible happens. I don't exactly know what, but, you know, it's better if we don't find out. But you can also just, you know, put a pot on the stove and put the oil in there, and we are frying it in peanut oil per Michael Curilla's instructions. A little flour here. Now that our dough has risen a little bit, that you want to just get like a tablespoon-ish. Let's see what happens. Oh, it's frittering, so that's good news. You don't want to put too many in at once because the temperature of the oil will come down. And then, once they start frying, you just flip them over. And I don't know how many people are having over, but this recipe is supposed to yield 50 fritters, which, you know, sounds excessive to me. And so here you have it. This is the spread that, you know, I put together for the Oscars. You can do whatever you want. Some basic, like we have basic cheddar cheese and some Triscuits. You run to the store and you grab that. You run to the store and you get some cookies, some mint Milanos, and some ginger people. See, one of these has already been enjoyed. Here are the potato and sage fritters. Try one of those in a second. Peanut butter cups. Hummus, store-bought. Same with the pita over here. Some veggies. And then also the toasted pita with a little bit of lemon and butter and rosemary and some nice sea salt on top. And, you know, of course, a sparkling wine. That's about it, and hopefully the show is not going to be too long, but if it is, you have enough snacks to go around for all of your guests, and that's that. So that's it for this episode of the podcast. Join us next time, where I'm sure, you know, we'll be, I don't know what we'll be doing, maybe talking about the Oscars a little bit more. Patrick and John will probably be reading their fan mail, stuff like that. So that's it.
Amazing.